One of the interesting things about Steve Jobs, the movie, is that, there's this footage in it of Arthur C. Clarke basically predicting the future.
Fantastic.
Saying, one day we're all going to have computers and they're going to be fun and they're going to be part of our everyday lives and we're going to do everything on them. We're going to find, we're going to maybe shop with them. Order food, all that sort of stuff. Okay. Now, fast forward to Tangerine, which is a film shot entirely on modified iPhone 5s. Shot, now, it has to be said, with an anamorphic adapter and a very specifically whizzy film program so it's not something you could just do with any old iPhone 5, but in fact what they've used is a prototype anamorphic adapter, which has meant...
What is one of those?
Okay, so anamorphic is something in which you squish the image in order to get it onto originally, and then it makes it into a widescreen image. So in terms of cinema, for example, an anamorphic... the best way of describing this, remember when you used to watch television on a square screen?
Yes.
And then if ever you had the credits of a Western, everything would be squished suddenly, because that's an anamorphic image and it's an unrectified anamorphic image. So basically what anamorphic does, it allows you to capture a widescreen image. So they shot this on a series of iPhone 5s, and the reason they did that was they were shooting it on the streets of LA, because it's a story about the streets of LA. It's a story about a transgender sex worker played by Kitana Kiki Rodriguez, who comes out of prison, having been in prison for, I think, 28 days or something, to discover that her pimp has been cheating on her, and she then gets her best friend Alexandra, played by Maya Taylor, to come looking for her. And this is all on the eve of Christmas, and her best friend says, okay, I will come and do it if you want to, but I, on the other hand, have a gig at 7 o'clock that I need you to be at. So basically it's shot on the fly around the streets and the burger joints and car washes and donut emporiums of these streets. And one of the reasons that they wanted to do it with iPhones was because they were unobtrusive. They were working often with non-professional actors or actors who were acting for the first time, did have acting or dramatic experience, but not on film. And so they wanted to be unobtrusive. People talk an awful lot about how it is that digital technology has managed to make filming unobtrusive. If you've ever seen a 35mm movie camera, it's a great big thing. If you can imagine somebody shooting a movie on an iPhone. And the story then follows them as they trawl around town looking for the guy and looking for the girl and leaving a sort of trail of mayhem in their wake. So many things to like about the film. The most important, I think, is, firstly, it's very, very empathetic. It's a film which is absolutely sympathetic to all its protagonists. It's not in any way judgmental. It seems to be made with a sense of authenticity which rings true. You believe in the characters, you believe in their lives, you believe in their situations. Secondly, it's very funny, despite the fact that an awful lot of what's going on with their life situations is very difficult. I mean, you could have made this as a grimy black and white documentary about, hardships. It's not that at all. In fact, it's a very vibrantly colourful film, not just in terms of the characters themselves, who are funny and a great company to be with, but in terms of the look of the film. They've taken the image, the widescreen image. It's got a very in-your-face soundtrack, which kind of ups the, pumps up the volume, ups the ante. But actually watching the film itself, that Tangerine, there are vistas of the artificiality of LA, which at one point I think is referred to, I may be misquoting, but I think the quote is that it's a perfectly wrapped lie. And what the film manages to make you do is, firstly, it's an enticing vision. It's something which is a pleasure to watch on a very tactile level. They've done a lot of post-production on the image to make the image rich, to make it overly saturated, to make it something which is a visual experience. I mean, there have been obviously films which have been made with mobile phones before. This isn't the first by any means. I'm thinking of films back in 2011, even before that, perhaps. But this is certainly the best looking one I've seen, and it has these characters in whose company you spend the 90 minutes of the film's running time, and you enjoy their company and you like them, and you absolutely you end up rooting for them, and you want things to work out well for them, even as they are sort of running around and creating mayhem. I thought it was a very fine, very, very engaging, authentic film, which is made all the more interesting because it's managed to take that idea of making a film on an iPhone and yet making it look like a cinematic experience.